So I entered 2016 broke and 100K in immediate debt, and within 18 months, I was a millionaire. And I attribute that to me making the conscious decision to raise my standards and change my identity. I started to form the identity of the person that I wanted to be. I started to just look at my actions and understand what got you here won't get you there.
Yeah.
Right? Where you are right now is because of the way you think. Anything that happens to fall in the middle, how we think determines what we do, right? And how we think determines what our standards are. And I just decided to raise my standards so fucking high that, you know, things had to change. I basically forced the result. And, you know, during that process, I lost a lot of people, of course, because not everybody's going to make the climb with you.
Absolutely.
What's up, man? Welcome
What's going
back
on?
to Full Fueled. It's good to be here. It's your host, Dr. Alfred Alessi.
And Matt Tag.
And we have a very special guest today, a rock star, actually, someone who fits exactly into our culture and the message that we're trying to spread, human optimization. Chris Cavallini is a former Navy diver, a Forbes-Featured entrepreneur, the CEO and founder of Nutrition Solutions, a premier healthy meal delivery service, and the host of the personal development podcast, the Start Today podcast. Chris also has a peak performance coaching business for men. His clientele include elite pro athletes, WWE superstars, entrepreneurs, and driven men who want to dominate in each of the primary human metrics: body, mindset, money, and life. Chris's goal and what he believes to be his destiny in life is to help people produce positive, lasting change and become the upgraded versions of themselves. He spends his days educating, coaching, and mentoring others so they can experience the same. Chris has battled extreme adversity, hardship, and discomfort that has led him to be where he is today. He's here to help you and everyone to learn how to become comfortable being uncomfortable. Chris, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you for the intro,
Welcome
man.
to the
Yes,
show.
sir.
That was
Keep
fantastic.
going, bro. Keep going.
That was on a roll there. Man, it's awesome to have
You just
here,
told
brother.
the story. I don't even know. We gotta,
cut the clip
that's it.
right there.
Yeah. Thank you for watching.
Oh, that's awesome, man. How you doing today?
Good, man. Everything's good. Thank you guys for having me on.
Yes, sir.
No,
Yes, sir.
absolutely, man. Thanks for coming on the show, dude. You got quite the story. So we've been obviously following along. You have a production things going on. You're definitely an entrepreneur. So I want to dive a little bit into that. But one of the things is, and you're pretty open about it, you got arrested 17 times.
I got arrested more than that. I got arrested 17 times before my 18th birthday.
Before your 18th
Yeah.
It was more
birthday.
after that.
Yeah. Then another half a dozen times after that. So
No way.
yeah, good times.
And but like the redemption, man, and then you obviously you're promoting this lifestyle where how many lives have been changed, obviously through your program, even through your nutritional platform.
I would like to think a lot. You know, we've been doing this a long time. I have an amazing team, and we pride ourselves on helping our clients get in the best shape of their life with no stress. Our company is, by definition, a healthy meal preparation service, but really we're a lifestyle transformation business.
Yeah, totally.
Our ecosystem is very much geared around personal development. That starts internally, and I think that the most pure form of personal development is fitness.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, amen.
I'm a big I said this in our last podcast, like Jim Quick, right? He always says, like, when the body moves, the mind grows.
yeah.
You know, that it seems like you had that transitionary period of, you obviously picked up a dumbbell at some point. You are jacked. Like, what was that pivotal moment that was like, man, that was the it that really spawned the making of Chris?
When I was in the 8th grade, I lifted weights for the first time, and I really enjoyed it. And after, you know, about a year or so, once I started high school in the 9th grade, then I had access to a weight room all the time, and I pretty much never left it. The weight room gave me the ability to feel significant. It gave me a positive outlet to focus on during a period of time where I didn't have a lot of positive things happening. And, you know, the weight room was just an escape for me to kind of work out some of my aggression and just do what I could to give myself the competitive edge. I mean, I was a very insecure kid. Obviously, the way that I came up, my mom was a drug addict, had me at 16. Father took off before I was even born, so never even met him. Was in and out of foster homes, group homes, juvenile detention centers, and jail cells. So I had a lot of trauma, a lot of adversity, a lot of hardship that I experienced early on. And I'm very fortunate for that because unbeknownst to myself, at the time, it was equipping me with skills and capabilities to go on and do things with my life that are considered to be statistically impossible. So I do think that I was very fortunate to have the childhood that I had, and I wouldn't change a thing.
And that story, as hard as it was and negative, was like your trajectory, right?
Yeah, it was the baseline though. So I didn't have an awareness consciously of the fact that, it's hard. I knew things were different for me than, most of the friends that I had and people I knew, but you don't know any other way. So everything happens for a reason. And I definitely believe that the worst things to happen to us are actually the best things to happen to us, provided you have the right perspective.
Yeah.
Wow. And so the story goes, you were obviously in and out of, like you said, juvie, jail, all this. What moment changed that? You went to the military, right? So what caused...
So like I said, I was arrested 17 times for my 18th birthday. Eventually, the state of Massachusetts, where I grew up, gave me an ultimatum to either go to jail or join the military. So as much as I would love to sit here and tell you that from a very young age, it was always a dream of mine to honorably serve. That's not the way it went down for me. But the military not only changed my life, an argument can be made that it saved it. It did so many things for me, instilled discipline, instilled a work ethic, gave me the opportunity to be around a bunch of high value men. I was a Navy diver. I was in a very elite community, 70% attrition rate. 70% of the people who start the training will not make it through for one reason or another. It was pretty difficult training, but for me, compared to some of the things I'd already been through, I mean, it sucked, but it wasn't that bad.
You were kind of hardened already.
Yeah, I was kind of hardened already. Fortunately, when I arrived at my first team, I was welcomed with open arms, and there's a lot of guys there who older, more experienced, kind of saw some potential in me, but also saw that I was rough around the edges, and look, they put their foot in my ass a lot, because it was needed back then, and they helped me grow up. They told me or showed me how to conduct myself like a professional, like a man, live with honor. Honor is, the probably single most important virtue as it relates to the diving community. There's a movie actually called Men of Honor about Navy divers. So really, it just started to instill qualities in me that I didn't have, and gave me a path and productive purpose, a reason to wake up every day and actually be proud of what I was doing for the first time in my life at that point.
Damn. And so when did because obviously you own this premier healthy food service, what led you that way? Like nutrition and stuff.
Yeah.
Because you were into fitness, but not necessarily nutrition's kind of a different sphere.
So again, I'm not sure how much you're familiar with my story, but I was in the military for 5 years, 5 of the most exciting years of my life. And I grew a lot and I learned a lot, and I became a different person. I became a better person, but I made the decision to get out after 5 years, not recognizing how massively valuable the military was for me being and continuing to be the person that I was at that point. I regressed very quickly. Somebody like me who comes from what I did, I basically, on a Tuesday, got out of the military, and overnight I lost all of my structure. I lost my purpose. I mean, in the military, where to be, when to be there, what uniform to be wearing. Their constant training. I mean, everything is just set up, very regimented, very systemic, just a well-oiled machine, right? That forces the result that they're after. When I got out of the military, I no longer had that. I basically just, lost my mind. I started working in a strip club. That work initially, as a young man, 23 years old, it sounded like a dream come true. It was like, all right, wait a minute, they're going to actually pay me to work in this establishment where I get to look at hot, naked women all night. Like, sign me up. But for someone like me, I was prone to violence, angry, insecure, just very confrontational. Being in that environment wasn't optimal for somebody who was wired the way that I was. So I found myself, getting in a lot of fights at work, right? Messing with the girls, constant drama with the girls, right? Young man in that atmosphere. And it was just stressful. It got to the point where it was this very, very stressful. Eventually just decided that I couldn't do it anymore. I quit and became a full-time drug dealer. I sold steroids for 7 or 8 years. And I think I started like dabbling into that a little bit when I was in the strip club. You know, I would get some stuff for myself and maybe pick up some things for some friends, and we put it in order together. And then I started to just realize that there was an opportunity here to maybe make some money off this. And that's exactly what I did. I mean, and I lived a very fast life. I spent the majority of my 20s partying, selling steroids. I was making a lot of money, making a lot of cash, coming in fast, going out faster. You know, I was out all the time, you know, 6-7 nights a week at that point, bottle service, chicks, had really nice cars. I was a very flashy drug dealer, and which is just idiotic, right?
Yeah, bad idea.
Yeah, it's not smart, but I was young and just not aware. And I didn't have a regular job. So that's the other part that's probably important to point out. I didn't really care.
That's where your entrepreneurship journey began.
Yeah, well, actually in high school, I sold a little weed in high school.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I sold a little weed in high school, and that kind of gave me a taste for buying something and then turning around and flipping it and such. But but you know, the fact is, you know, I'm not proud of what I did in the past. Again, I wouldn't change it. It's part of my story. It's allowed me to arrive where I am today. But eventually, you know, I got to a point where things started to get really stressful again. Things started to get really stressful. The people that I was hanging around with, drug dealers hanging out with other drug dealers, people started to get caught and sent to prison. A lot of them were snitching on one another. And that was a defining moment for me, realizing that this is now the fraternity, the ecosystem, if you will, that I was in. I came from a fraternity where the code was honor. And now I'm in this other world, and the people who are supposed to be my friends, I mean, they are just showing clear, just no issue whatsoever, destroying somebody else's life, destroying somebody's family's life, simply because they weren't man enough to be held accountable or take personal responsibility over their actions. That made me sick. And I realized that I needed to start making some changes, and I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do. I had absolutely no idea what I could do. I did know that it was important to me to start making changes, and I was willing to do whatever it took for as long as it took. And I went to a mentor of mine at the time, as a friend, a guy I had access to, probably the only successful person that I had access to at that point in time. And I put my cards on the table. I let him know that where I was at, what I was doing, and that I wanted to change. And I didn't ask him for a handout. I didn't ask him for a job. I didn't ask him for anything other than to point me in the right direction. And he gave me 2 pieces of advice that changed my life, and to this day continues to. He said that I needed to first start surrounding myself with people who are better than me. He said it just like that. He didn't say people who are more. He said people who are better than you. You need to get around people who are better than you. You need to watch what they do and model what they do. And then he said I needed to spend every waking moment working on my personal development. He's like, you got a victim mindset. He's like, I'm sitting here listening to all the things you're saying, and you've just given me all these excuses as to why you are where you are and why you've been doing these things. And it was true. Yeah. And it was true because at that time, I mean, I had all these stories that I told myself because I'd been arrested so many times. I'd never be able to get a good job because of my upbringing. I'd always have these issues, and I always have a hard time with relationships. All these things were true, but it wasn't a justifiable excuse to not be a good person. And, you know, he basically told me, he's like, you need to get in the books. He's like, you're in the gym all the time. He's like, look, personal development is to the mind what fitness is to the body. And that really made a lot of sense to me. And he's like, you got to get to work creating a new identity. And that's exactly what I did. I started immersing myself in the pages of the books. You know, back then this was, you know.
Name a few. I know you have a few on your list.
Yeah, well, I've read over 1,000 books. I've read over 1,000 books. And what I would like to say about that is that was actually a huge waste of time. And what I learned throughout the journey of reading over 1,000 books is I would have been better reading the same 15 to 20 just repeatedly, because
I agree.
Every time you hit a new level of consciousness, you
It
are
hits
now
different.
it hits different. You're in a better position to receive. You're going to interpret things differently and more productively.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, some of the books that I read initially, I think the first book I read was Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. If I was going to recommend a book to somebody who was just kind of starting their personal development journey, it would unequivocally be Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life by Brian Tracy. That book has probably had the most significant impact on me. I've read it 5 or 6 times. And every time I've read it again, I've received something different. But just a amazing depiction that helps you understand why you are the way you are and how you think and gives you the ability, if you want to learn how to think differently. And I think that's really what personal development is about learning to think different.
Yeah. And man, I think a big point to that is, and this is exactly how you are. I have some similarities in, not to the same level as you, but some things that happened to me when I was young that wasn't my choice, right? And these things that aren't necessarily your fault when you're a kid, but you can't escape that until you take responsibility, right? And yes, it happened to you, not by you, but if you can take accountability for it and responsibility for it, you can leave it behind, and then you can level up like the way you did.
Yeah, no, you nailed it, and you're completely right. It may not have been your fault, but if it is touching you in some way, shape, or form, it's impacting your state, then it is absolutely your responsibility to sort it out.
Yeah, you can take control of it. So
it's the perception at which you look at it, right, too. I mean, you can look at it with the context of the victim mentality, but I mean, with Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within, it's the perception at which you look in that, the past direction that ultimately is determining what happens in the future.
That's right.
It's solid.
Man. So why prepared food? I know that kind of segues into your business, but so my dad owns a food importing company, and I know the food industry itself, man, there's a lot of logistics with that, making sure it's clean and, obviously food goes bad and that kind of stuff. So what led you into, I want to deliver healthy meals to people that are prepared for them to make it easy?
So fitness is important to me. Obviously, we've discussed that at length. I think that, you look around in society, 3/4 of the adult population are overweight, 40% are obese, right? Tens of millions are on antidepressants. The common denominator between most people, the overwhelming majority of people who are depressed and on antidepressants, is the fact they're all overweight. I think that our food's a problem in this country. I think that people intuitively know that they should be eating better, but perhaps don't have the discipline, the knowledge. There's a lot of education. There's a lot of different things, but either way, it's still, again, it's not an excuse. The food that you put in your body objectively determines your quality of life. It is directly proportional to the quality of your life. And I think that it's difficult in a very fast-paced world. Everybody is busy, so many responsibilities, and the nearest convenience is often attractive. People are busy, people have families, have jobs and responsibilities. It's a problem because the food that it goes in our body, right? It goes in our body, and I think people need to just have higher standards as it relates to what they put in their body, because what you put in your body influences every area of your being, physically, mentally, spiritually, the manner of which you age. The foods you eat are going to determine if you look your age, if you look 10 years older than you actually are, 10 years younger. So I wanted to figure out a way that I could make the process of eating well, the process of consuming quality nutrition effortless, because I certainly didn't want to cook. I didn't want to cook. I didn't want to, spend the time grocery shopping. I don't want to spend the time prepping, doing a bunch of dirty dishes after the fact. So, basically what we do is we basically give people the tools that they need to streamline the process of getting in the best shape of their life. We make healthy eating and quote unquote dieting. I hate using that word dieting. That's what most people say.
Lifestyle change.
We make dieting not suck.
Yeah.
A lot of times I think people have the perception that healthy food is going to be bland. It's going to be boring. It's going to be, boiled chicken and asparagus, lobster. Disgusting, things that nobody is going to be able to sustain for the long term to, be able to get the results. So we pride ourselves on making dieting not feel like dieting. Our menus consist of things like filet mignon, bison, elk, venison, antibiotic-free poultry. We have even have protein donuts on our menu.
Yeah, those look great.
I've had those.
Yeah, you've had those?
Yeah, yep. They're phenomenal.
So
It looks like the Homer Simpson.
Yeah, one of your reps was that F45. I tried them. They're freaking unreal.
yeah. So the whole thing is people don't need a company like ours to get in shape. They could do it on their own. The problem is most are just not.
Yeah.
When I say most, I mean the overwhelming majority are not. The overwhelming majority of people are making decisions every single day as it relates to foods that they're putting in their mouth that are making them fatter, that are making them weaker, that are making them sicker, that are making them more depressed.
Yeah.
And, you know, in that process, making them a lot easier to control.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like if you have the ability to pay someone to clean your house, pay someone to clean your car, you can pay to have food done for you. That way it's easier too, right? It's like leveraging your time. I know we always talk about that with like, dude, I'm so busy right now. You're so busy right now. We have multiple different businesses going on. We're doing the show. We're doing all these things. I love pre-made meals, especially healthy pre-made meals, right? I will not put fast food in my body. I don't even drive past a fast food place and notice it anymore. It's not considered food to me. So like most times if I'm not going to get a healthy meal, I'm just going to fast, or I'm maybe going to hit a pouch or something. But yeah, man, that I think you like lower the barrier for people who maybe don't know how to cook, maybe don't want to cook, maybe they, you know, whatever it might be. I freaking think it's awesome.
What are you doing for longevity right now?
I think I was just going to say to that point, I think every high performance individual understands the importance of automating, delegating, and systematizing.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Right? Yeah. If you want to grow endlessly, you're going to have to figure out how to get more done. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you can only do so much yourself. So anything that you can outsource, automate, delegate to somebody who can do it just as good, if not better than you can. And in this case, you know, my team of fitness chefs,
they cook better than I can.
They can cook. The chances are they cook a lot better than you. So
that's right.
You know, and the menu changes every week, so you don't have to think about what to eat or, you know, when to eat it. The orders show up on your doorstep, and you know, I just think people underestimate how easy or how much easier it would be to get the body that they want if at all times their refrigerator was full of clean fuel.
Yeah. We just linked up with a farm out of Georgia so that we can get grass fed that comes in. So I like actually do it for a couple months. I'll just get like a bulk of just meat that came in. I'm actually going carnivore for February. So I hate the diet thing too, but I'll do it in short-term stretches, right?
Sure.
To, you know, what I'm trying to
Well,
get
that's
out.
what it is. It's when we say diet, it's a short-term, and again, like you guys are in shape, I'm in shape. So if we're going to diet, we're going to, you know, maybe we get a trip coming up, or I got a photo shoot going on. Right. You have a goal, and, you know, you cut your calories down, do a little more cardio, whatever. But the lifestyle is what, you know, we're talking about. And people just, I don't think are aware of how terrible their eating habits actually are.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand how horrendous highly processed food is
Poison
for their health. I mean, it literally over the last 50 to 60 years, the instances of obesity, I mean, it's parabolic. Parabolic. And, you know, we get to look at what has changed. And the fact is the implementation of highly processed foods, seed oils, things like that are, I mean, they're a huge problem. And the problem is they're in everything. People go in a grocery store, they pick something up off the shelf, or they go to a fast food place and they order it, and in their mind they're thinking, oh, okay, they sell it here, so it has to be okay. But it's like, look at your body naked. Right? How do you feel when you wake up in the morning? Right? Like all these things, these are feedback, and you got to listen to the feedback that the universe gives you, because it's there.
You know?
Or like how you feel. Most people, like, just their normal is like feeling like crap all the time. They don't even know what it feels like to feel normal and have a clear, like, brain.
You should not feel bloated, gassy,
brain fog,
or lethargic after you eat. If you do, then that, again, that's your body trying to communicate to you that what you have just put inside of it simply does not belong there. But people are just ignorant and unaware. And, you know, which is why we need to have the conversation, because I think awareness is key. And I think a lot of times people don't recognize how disadvantageous their lifestyle choices are, because that's all they've ever done. They do not have anything else to compare it to. But I'll say, like, if you don't eat well, if you're not mindful of the foods that you're eating, if you eat good for one day, you will feel a little different.
You're like, whoa.
and that's just an indication of like, you know, what's going to happen after a week, a month, a year, once this actually becomes who you are to the core. So.
Or if I like even if you don't eat for a day, right? You feel like completely different.
Correct.
You're like, what the heck just happened there? Oh, because I didn't put shit in my body.
Right.
Because the onslaught of your gut of like
it just like deflamed a little
went
bit.
away. Oh, wow, that's why I feel better.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Our first episode was about this, and that's why I said you align so much with us, is because like your message and our message are the same. We did that on purpose because we want people to wake up and understand that what you're putting into your body not only fuels you, but it becomes you. Right? Yep. You break that down, and then those pieces then ultimately become your cells. Would you want to fly in an airplane made out of cardboard?
I would not.
Right? So like, why are we going to build our bodies out of crap? Like we gotta. I love what you said. Hold yourself to a higher standard, man.
What are you doing for longevity now? Obviously, you're in real good shape. I don't know if you're cutting right now, but either way.
No, I mean, I always stay in good shape. I mean, I am the CEO of a lifestyle transformation.
Yeah,
company, so.
you better, right?
Yeah, and what type of hypocrite would I be if I was just this kind of fat, lazy, normal looking CEO? But I prioritize my longevity now. Over the last couple of years, it's become much more of a priority. I'm 41 now. So as you get older, your goals change, your priorities change. I will say I'm 41. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm in the best shape of my life right now. Yeah. And, the reason for that is as you continue to kind of operate at a higher level of proficiency, you figure out things that work, things that work. There's obviously always going to be a difference between what works and what works best. Yeah. But for me, obviously, I'm training all the time. I work out 6 days a week. I do a combination of high intensity functional training, traditional strength training. I do. I literally just this morning had a Stairmaster that was delivered to my home. So I got a Stairmaster in my house now. Yeah. I haven't done steady state cardio. I haven't done steady state cardio consistently for probably 3 years. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I'm going to bring this back in the game now.
Yeah,
so that's going to help me hit a new stride. I'm always doing like HIIT and training really aggressively. So I get the cardiovascular benefit, but the steady state cardio, obviously, help peel off more calories and body fat when it's time to shred up. I use the sauna 5 days a week. I use the cold plunge every morning. I have both of those at my house.
Yeah. How long?
How long what?
Yeah, how long are you in the cold plunge for?
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes,
okay.
4 minutes max, 39 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my sauna, 20 to 25, no less than 20. And my sauna cranks, gets about 220 degrees in there.
Okay.
Yeah. So the research, the compelling research around the sauna is 180 degrees. If you're doing 180 degrees for 20 minutes, that's where the magic is going to happen. No less than 20 minutes. A lot of people make the mistake of getting out of the sauna as soon as it gets hot. Yeah. Once it starts to get uncomfortable. Yeah. Once it starts to get uncomfortable, just like all other things in life. Yeah. Right. That is when the good shit is just starting to happen. So I don't really do a whole lot more than that. I mean, I take a lot of supplements. Obviously, my diet is, I don't want to say my diet is perfect, but my diet is better than 99.8% of the world's population simply because of what I do. And I don't have to think. I don't spend any time grocery shopping, cooking. Yeah. I just reach in my fridge, I heat up a meal, and I eat it, and I get back to what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah. And you prioritize protein. That's kind of your approach.
Yeah. So as far as like, my kind of dieting or nutrition ethos, non-negotiable, I'm drinking a gallon of water every single day. I get 1 gram of protein in per pound of my lean body mass, per pound of goal weight, if you don't know what lean body mass is. Right. For me, it's about 190 grams. And I found the easiest way to do that, the most efficient way to do that, the most sustainable way to do that is to get 70% of the protein from food, like grass-fed beef, antibiotic-free poultry, elk, venison, bison, etc., and the other 30% from a high-quality protein supplement. Yeah. So that's what I do, and that makes it effortless. And I don't have time to eat 6 times a day. I don't want to eat 6 times a day. Yeah. And I think that's just a massive waste of fucking time. Yeah. I don't have that kind of time, So I want to be as efficient as possible to reach the goals that I have for myself from a fitness standpoint.
From an entrepreneurship side, you have an 8-figure company now. Do you have multiple companies, or is it mainly just your nutritional?
Yeah, multiple companies. I have a coaching business. I think you mentioned that at the beginning of this. I have other investments, but Nutrition Solutions is my primary venture. Yeah, and that's what put me on the map.
I'm sorry, I knew you had the coaching company as well. So, but can you take us through, obviously, a day? You got a team probably on the nutrition side. You got to manage. I'm sure you have. Do you have a CEO in place for that company now?
No, I'm the CEO.
You're the CEO on that company.
Yeah.
How many employees? Do you have?
So we have 50 from an operational standpoint. We have 50, another 4 in finance, 5 or 6 in marketing. So we got a pretty big team.
Yeah, you got a good team. Yeah. And then how did you? So this is what's cool, right? Is that you have a story behind you that was a lot of probably disrepair, discomfort, but now you look at it as just like your story that basically created this long journey. But then a guy that essentially came from nothing, right? You essentially can consider yourself an orphan. Do you have a relationship with your mom right now?
I don't speak to my mom.
No? Okay. So you essentially in and out of homes, and now you're at the point where you've hit a scaling company. You hired a few people. Obviously, you had to create the business model essentially to create a company and scale it. What did that process look like just from an entrepreneurship standpoint?
Man, such a complicated answer to that, because I want to make sure it is, because we could spend 5 fucking hours on it. But what I will say, like, if I had to boil it down to a couple key points, it was first being very intentional about the results that I was looking to achieve.
Okay.
Being intentional with everything, with every action, with every meeting, with every video piece of video content that we make. Every day, I want to be as intentional as possible so I can force the result that I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. And when I started to be more intentional with my actions, that's when my circumstances started to change. I had a really hard year in 2015, the worst year of my adult life. Certainly, I was arrested for crimes that I'd committed 3 years prior. I'd walked away from my previous life, thought I got away clean. Of course, that's not the way the universe works. Karma had other plans. So I got arrested for crimes that I committed 3 years prior. My bail was $500,000. They wanted me to snitch. I wouldn't snitch. I told them that just simply appreciate you asking. I said, that's just not something that I would consider. I said, where I am today and what I've been able to do with my life to this point was a direct result of me taking personal responsibility. So the idea of destroying somebody else's life, destroying their family's life because I wasn't man enough to be held accountable for my actions and my crimes, it just seemed intuitively wrong to me. So I couldn't even consider it. Wow. But yeah, so got through that character building year. I was looking at 14 years in prison. Literally, I walked into a courtroom to be sentenced, and that day I'd prepared my life to the best of my ability leading up to that date for the very real possibility that I'd be going to prison that day. Yeah. And just in a shocking twist of events, the universe had other plans for me. And I was not sent to prison, and I was given felony probation. The judge had basically familiarized herself with my mitigation packet. I had about 100 character witnesses that showed up to speak on my behalf that day. They didn't all speak, but they were there to support. I had people that I was in the military with who flew in uniform to be there for me and to support me. And I think that sent a strong message about the person that I was today. And I wasn't in there denying what had happened. Yeah. I very much owned it. I very much said, yes, I used to be this person. Yes, I did all of these things that I'm being accused of and much more that I didn't get caught for. I was like, but I'm not that person anymore. And I would love for you to take that into consideration. And they did, because the purpose of the criminal justice system, the purpose of incarceration is rehabilitation. Yeah. And the judge had determined, and she had said this in open court, she determined that I had successfully rehabilitated myself on my own. So after I walked out of the courtroom that day, even though I was relieved about the fact I wasn't going to prison, I realized, man, that over the last however many years, I had just been half committed, half committed to my business, half committed to my team, half committed to my life. And it just, I just felt disgusted. I felt disgusted, and I was pissed off. I was pissed off because, during that time, my lack of commitment was a slap in the face to all the people who supported me and believed in me during that time where a lot of people did not.
Yeah.
So I entered 2016 broke and in $100,000 of immediate debt. I had to, between my lawyer bills, between bailing out of jail, I had to borrow some money from PayPal, who was our payment processor at the time. And the reason I say immediate debt is when you borrow $100,000 from PayPal, every time you run a transaction, they're taking a piece of it to get their money back.
Yeah, 100%.
So I entered 2016 broke and $100K in immediate debt. And within 18 months, I was a millionaire. And I attribute that to me making the conscious decision to raise my standards and change my identity. I started to form the identity of the person that I wanted to be. I started to just look at my actions and understand what got you here won't get you there.
Yeah.
Right? Where you are right now is because of the way you think. Good,
Yeah.
bad, anything that happens to fall in the middle, how we think determines what we do.
Yeah.
Right? And how we think determines what our standards are. And I just decided to raise my standards so fucking high that, things had to change.
Yeah.
I basically forced the result. And, during that process, I lost a lot of people, of course, because not everybody's going to make the climb with you.
Absolutely.
But I learned a lot about myself. I have a tremendous team, like I alluded to earlier. And, we've had some character building years. We're a growing company and we've been through some really, really tough times and challenges together. But really, at the heart of it all, what makes our company special, and I think what is a massive contributing factor to the success that we've seen, is our company culture.
Mm-hmm.
Company culture is the single most important thing that a company can have if that company wants to be successful. And, our team are, all different walks of life, different age demographics, but they're all on the path that our clients are on. So I pay my team to work out twice a week before work. We have workouts.
That's sick.
Yeah. Well, just like in the military, I was fortunate in the military.
Yeah.
I got paid to work out.
It's a lifestyle.
And there's a reason for that. Like they wanted us to be physically fit because they wanted us to be the best.
Yeah.
I want my team to be the best. So of course I'm going to contribute to, their physical fitness. So I get out there with them and we work out, we do ice baths and all kinds of different mental toughness, building exercises. And really what that does is it obviously helps them become more fit, more strong, more disciplined, build their belief in themselves. And it, of course, in that process is building team cohesion, because the best way to bring a group of people together is through purposeful suffering.
Yeah.
Like in the military, you're very, very close with the people that you're with because you've suffered together.
Like,
Yeah.
this sucks. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
So when we started doing that in 2016, that's really when things started to take off. When I started to prioritize the culture and I started to ensure that everybody that I brought on was a good cultural fit and in alignment with what it is that I was looking to do. I have very high standards.
Yeah.
I have very high standards. And under no circumstances am I going to lower my standards to make someone feel like less of a loser.
Yeah.
I'm never going to fucking do that.
Yeah.
I'm never going to do that. And I made that very clear to all of the people on my team during different chapters where I had to, there was a day where I fired 8 people in one day before. I mean, look, when you make the decision to raise your standards, you have to burn your boats and you have to go all in and you have to give yourself no other option but success. And the issue then was I had made a very poor hiring decision bringing in a COO. And what can I say? Chalk it up to my inexperience, complacency. He ended up being, again, just a awful investment, but he had brought in a bunch of people who were not culturally aligned. And it was making it very, very difficult because that was a tough year for us. We were growing and the days were long and the shit was stressful. So you have people who are not about it, not culturally aligned.
Yeah, right.
Bought in.
Yeah, that's going to pose a multitude of issues, and it did. So really, I think the short answer is raising my standards and making the conscious decision to be intentional about not only maintaining my standards, but looking for ways and opportunities to improve them.
That's exactly what we need to hear. Cause we were talking, we're hiring a lead doc for the clinic, right? And it was the same thing. It's like, if you want to be great in life, right? You got to surround yourself with greatness or surround yourself with average, right?
Yeah.
So you got to hire greatness to be great. And
that's what I told him. I was like, I want to hire someone better than me. I was like, I want someone to come in here and do the job that I've been doing better than I am doing it, and level this up with us, right? Because essentially, I'm trying to step back from doing the day-to-day chiropractic. I
understand.
And have a doctor do it, right?
So what's really important that you guys understand? How old are you guys?
I'm 32.
38.
Okay. So what's really important for you guys to understand, greatness needs to be developed. You will never bring in somebody into this business that is great day one. Yeah. They will not enter your business and then just make it that much better day one. It does not work like that. Yeah. Now, you can bring in somebody who has all of the right makings, all of the right skills, the right mentality, the right attitude, the right goals, but it is absolutely, up to us as leaders to train and develop our people.
Absolutely.
And that's at Nutrition Solutions, something that, we do every day. We train every single day, constant training. Yeah. Again, I want to force the result of improvement and the way that there's two ways to get better. Experience, which takes a long fucking time. Yeah. And training. Yeah. So this is just something that the military instilled in me, because in the military, basically all you did was train. All you did was train to get ready for the real world scenario. Yeah. When that worst case scenario popped off. So.
Yeah. And you're a big proponent of a big believer in second chances. Obviously, with your story, man, you employ a lot of people that maybe have similar backgrounds, gone through stuff, and you have a little empathy for that, I'm guessing.
Yeah. We proudly employ convicted felons, people who have been to prison, people who have struggled with substance abuse in the past. Now, obviously, there's some restrictions to that, right? If somebody ever did something that hurt a kid or an animal, obviously, that is not anything that we would entertain. But if people, again, what kind of hypocrite would I be, considering the life that I lived, if I didn't give people opportunities? And some of my best people are convicted felons, if I'm being completely honest. Yeah. I mean,
they're trying to rise to the level you are, man.
They know what the bottom tastes like. And when you've been at the bottom and you understand what happens there, and you gain that perspective, you're often willing to do whatever the fuck it takes to never have to return to that place. So, if you give people an opportunity, give them training, give them the structure that they need to succeed, convicted felon or not, they can contribute. Yeah. And that's really what it's all about, is putting points on the board and moving the chains.
I love that. Putting points on the board and moving the chains. And literally that's all. But if you experience the bottom, and I think that's a term where, different bottoms are different for different people, obviously. But man, I went through a hell of my mid-20s where I felt like I reached the bottom, and I'm like, I ain't going back there. Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah. Thanks so much for listening to part 1 of this Full Fueled podcast. If you like what you heard, tune in next week at the same time to catch up on part 2. Thanks.